The Nuggets, they are in the postseason. The Spurs are not. So statistically, the Nuggets, they were better this regular season than they even were last year when they were the top seed in the West. And they went on a run through the playoffs. But as you can see, they have a better record, offensive efficiency, and a better net efficiency than a year ago. So Kendrick, Perkins, they aren't the top seed in the West, but the Nuggets, I mean, are they the clear-cut favorite to win again?
They are, but it's not, no, I wouldn't say clear-cut, Malika. I'm not going to say that because it's a lot of Western Conference teams that could represent the West in the NBA Finals. I think the winner of the Mavs and the Clippers series is going to be interesting. The Minnesota and Phoenix series is going to be interesting. But they still are the favorites, but it's not by a large margin like, everyone is trying to paint it. But I am going to show respect to Jokic. I am going to show respect to Murray. I am going to show respect to that starting five because it is the best starting five in basketball. But at times, what I have seen from the Denver Nuggets is vulnerability on the bench. Losing Jeff Green, losing Bruce Brown. Who's going to step up to the plate? Is Reggie Jackson going to be consistent? Is Christian Braun going to be consistent? Those are some of the answers that I'm going to be looking for when watching this Denver Nuggets team throughout this postseason run.
So what I'm hearing from you, Kendrick Perkins, right now is, as you would say, yes. Is that what I'm hearing? The whisper. The yes. Yes. Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm making sure I'm hearing that right. So the Nuggets, right? They're looking to become the first champion to repeat since 2018. But you know what's been even longer? Having the same team finish in the top spot in the West, because OKC is the 7th different team to finish in that one seed over the last 7 years. And by the way, the youngest team to do so since seeding began in 1984. But I know, Austin, we don't know who they're going to play quite yet. But do you think that they should be favored to advance no matter what?
No, I do not. No, I do not. And I'll tell you why right here. To the point you just said, they are the youngest team. They don't have that experience. And when we look at what's involved in the play-in, sure, these teams have had struggle in their season when we talk the Warriors, when we talk the Lakers. But these are both teams, even the Pelicans. The only team that I think OKC has a clear-cut victory, verse would be probably Sacramento. But when we talk about the Lakers and their interior size, it's problematic. When we talk about New Orleans' size, problematic. The Pelicans are probably the biggest team out of the three. And then when we talk about the Warriors, what they lack in size, they make up in experience. We're talking about a championship ball club. So, listen, I'm a fan of OKC. I love Shai Alexander. He's probably second in the running in MVP. Some people have him as one. I love Jalen Williams. I love the success that they've been able to build in their first year really all together now that we have Chet fully healthy. This is a team for the ages and a team for the next, 5-10 years is probably going to be competing at a high level. We'll start with 5. But when we talk about right now, they are very young. They don't have experience. And when we talk about them versus Warriors or Lakers or even Pelicans with their size and their length, it could be trouble. Like, this is not just going to be a unanimous one seed just wins. This kind of reminds me, I'm not comparing them to Utah, the team, but just in the aspect, do you remember Utah was the number 1 seed? No one really had this team going the distance. I still think Denver's a clear-cut team to come out the West. In my opinion, I just think they're better than everybody else. And when we talk specifically OKC, I don't think anything's promised with them. They are young. They're talented. It's going to be a good series, but I think they are beatable. I really do.
I mean, look, I out of respect for whoever, whenever they play, when we do our picks, I think they should be the favorite just because they won the toughest conference in basketball that we've seen in the last 5 years. Like, the West this year was a gauntlet. You have teams like the Lakers, the Warriors. Those teams actually won more games this year than they did last year, and they finished lower in the standings because of how tough the West is. And Oklahoma City flat out won the West. Chet Holmgren played 82 games.
Right.
I mean, if you want to know how competitive Chet Holmgren is, go listen to the podcast that Adrian Wojnarowski did with him a couple weeks ago. That man, he heard that he was going to be fragile, that he couldn't play every game. He went out and played 82 out of 82, and I love his Twitter feed where he put the sign where he was tracking every single game.
Right.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, death taxes, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting 30. That's what he does. He's so consistent. And so I know they are young. They're the youngest team to win 55 games since the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2010, 2011. So young, 23 and a half years. Okay?
They have all of the pieces.
But they don't know what they don't know.
Sure. The only thing that is missing is the experience.
And the size.
Wojnarowski is joining us for this conversation as well because, Woj, they top to bottom have put together a roster that can compete with anyone. Size is the one question. But it's also the coaching that they have been able to put together for this group at the right time. I know you have more on that front.
Yeah, Mark Daigneault, the Thunder's coach, he's been named the National Basketball Coaches Association's Coach of the Year. That's voted on by the other 29 head coaches. You can't vote for yourself. A pretty decisive winner. You know, Daigneault, you've seen a dramatic improvement each year on the job. And, you know, this is a coach and an organization that when you compare them to the rest of the league this year, only one other team was top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency. That was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics. And I think this is a team that, you know, certainly is way ahead of schedule. They only were out of the postseason for 2 years. You think back to the Chris Paul bubble team, and when people talk about that rebuild in Oklahoma City and all the picks they had, and obviously this was jump-started with the trade with the Clippers and getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get a future MVP, which he will be at some point. It's not this year. To get him in his early 20s in a trade and then to build around him. But, you know, Mark Daigneault, who's really the third coach that Sam Presti's hired in Oklahoma City, that's been a coach of the year. You go back to Scott Brooks, Billy Donovan, and now Daigneault. This is an Oklahoma City team that may be ahead of schedule, but still they're going to be a very difficult out in the postseason.
Right. Mark Daigneault, the coach's coach of the year, and now they are marching into the postseason as the number 1 seed with all this momentum behind them. I think it's going to be exciting to see if they can maybe upset one of those more experienced teams. And I realize I'm saying upset about a number 1 seed.
NBA